Hey guys, welcome back to Earth to Us Yoga. I've got a really great peaceful flow for us today. You'll notice we are in our new location and a little bit of a different attire today because it is quite a cool and breezy morning. But yeah, I'm super excited to bring this flow out to you. Go ahead, get your mat ready, get some comfortable clothes. This flow is going to be great for beginners all the way to advanced yogis. It's just going to be super chill. We're just going to relax and just, yeah, kind of de-stress and just chill out for a little while. We're going to take a break from our series of working on the specific body parts just because I've had some requests for just some more general flows. So that's what today is going to be about. No script, no specific plan. We're just going to move our bodies and just enjoy moving. So yeah, go ahead and get your stuff and we're going to get started. So we're going to go ahead and begin standing up on our mats. We're going to stack those feet directly under the hips directly under the shoulders. We're going to inhale those hands up, one deep inhale through the nose. And then exhale those hands back down. Exhaling through the nose. We're going to inhale those hands up. And then exhaling them back down. One more deep inhale. And one more exhale. We're going to bring that right hand to the chest, the left hand to the abdomen. We're just going to take a few deep breaths here. Just get centered. We're going to really turn that gaze inward, really focusing on that breath. Feeling the rise and the fall of the chest. And just feeling that heartbeat underneath that right palm. Just bringing our awareness into our bodies here. Just embracing ourselves for just one more breath. And then exhaling that air out. We're going to inhale those hands back up. And then exhale them back down. Now we're going to wrap that left arm around our right waist and that right arm around that left shoulder. We're just going to give ourselves a real big hug for just a second. But what we're really trying to do here is round that back, really stretch through those shoulders here. So rounding that back, pulling those shoulders away from each other. Well, bringing those shoulders together in front, pulling the shoulder blades away from each other in the back. And then exhale as we release. Now just switch out those arms, wrapping them around ourselves, showing ourselves a little love here with this hug, warming up those shoulders. Keeping that breath very steady. And then releasing those arms. Inhale, those arms go up. We're going to grab that left wrist, pulling it over to the right side. Then grabbing that right wrist, pulling it over to the left side. Pulling that left wrist over to the right. And then right wrist over to the left. Coming back up center, we're going to reach up tall towards the sky or the ceiling. Stretching through the whole body, slightly leaning backwards here. And then on that next exhale, we're going to come into that first forward fold. So dropping those hands all the way down, we're going to start a little pedal here. Since this is our first forward fold, we're going to be very gentle with those legs. Massaging those hamstrings, massaging the glutes, the backs of the knees. And just find a little pedal, a little movement here. Just waking up those legs. And then straightening both those legs, reaching down. Inhale, slowly rising up halfway. So we're just coming to that flat back here. And then exhale, melting forward. Inhale, halfway. And then exhale, melting forward. One more inhale, halfway. And then exhale, melting forward. Now we're going to bend that left knee, straightening that right knee. You can take that left forearm to that left knee, or drop that left hand on down to the toes as we find that twist here, bringing that right arm up towards the ceiling. And then we're just going to swap it out. So now taking that right forearm to the knee, or go ahead and drop that right hand down to the mat. Whatever suits your body here, you can reach down for those toes, leaving the forearm at the knee. And then bending that left leg, switching back. Bending that right knee, switching back to that opposite side, really pushing into that outer seat here, stretching that outer seat, taking both those hands down, and then inhale as we slowly rise up. Now we're going to go ahead and find the tops of our mats here. Stepping those feet to the tops of the mats, we're going to inhale those arms up. Exhale, forward fold, taking the hands all the way down to the mat. We're going to step back into plank, and then drop those knees as they come under the hips. Now if the knees are under the hips, the hands are under the shoulders. We're going to inhale, taking that tailbone up to the sky, dropping that navel to the mat, lifting that head up into that cow pose. And then exhale, tuck those hips under, round that spine, pressing into cat. Inhaling into cow. And then rolling back into that cat. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. And then coming to that neutral spine. Now we're going to extend that left leg long. Pushing all the energy out of that left toe. And then taking that left leg, we're going to drape it over the back of the right leg. Then look over that right shoulder back at that toe, really opening through those left ribs. So really opening through that left side here, pulling that left shoulder away from that left hip. And then bringing that left knee back in. Extending that right leg out long with a pointed toe. All the energy goes out of that right toe. And then draping that right leg over the back of the left leg. We're going to gaze over that left shoulder, back at that toe. Really opening through that right rib this time. And then bringing that right knee back in. Now we're going to open those knees, making sure they're directly under the hips. Now we're going to do some hip circles. So we're going to push those hips over to the left and down to the heels, and then bring them up to the right. So pushing them over and down to the left, touching the heels if we can, and then up to the right. One more time, all the way down, touching the heels, and then back up. Now pushing those hips down to the right. Touching those heels, then back up to the left, over to the right, touching those heels, back up to the left. Let's get one more of those hip circles here, dropping those hips, and then lifting them up. Now we're going to walk those hands back, coming up onto those high knees here. We're going to inhale, taking those hands up, stretching up tall, slightly arching that back. And then reaching those hands back behind the glutes, interlacing those fingers open through the chest. Reaching those hands back behind the tailbone, interlacing those fingers, opening through that chest. And then exhaling as we drop that chest forward. We're going to walk those hands out long, dropping that chest down. We're not coming into child's pose, but we're coming into puppy pose. So we're going to send that tailbone high up to the sky, dropping that chest down as that tailbone lifts up high. Stretching through the shoulders and the chest here. Inhaling and exhaling, we never hold our breath. And then walking that body back up slowly, we walk those hands back under those shoulders. We're going to take that deep inhale through the nose. We're We're going to curl those toes, and we're going to find our first downward facing dog. So since this is our first down dog, we're going to start that pedal here, just like we did in that first forward fold. Finding that movement here, massaging those legs. And we're going to bring that right foot up to meet those hands. So that right foot comes in between those hands. We inhale, we exhale up high into that lunge. We exhale, bringing that left hand down to the inner sole of that right foot. That right hand shoots up towards the sky. Bringing that right hand back down. We're going to step that right leg back into downward facing dog, finding that pedal. And then bringing that left foot forward now. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, right hand to left foot. Left hand goes up towards the ceiling, or the sky in my case. Loving this outside practice today. Bringing that left hand down, we're going to step back into plank. So not quite finding that down dog, we're going to open those knees wide. We're going to find our first child's pose here. So dropping back into that child's pose. Taking just a few breaths here. Child's pose is always our home, our safe place. We can always come back to child's poses if we begin to get frustrated with the practice, if we begin to lose that rhythm of our breath. So we're just coming into that first child's pose, taking a few deep breaths here. Those hands are walked out long, that seat is down towards the heels, those biceps are drawn into the ears. We're going to go ahead and we're going to lift that right hand, taking that right hand palm up, threading it underneath that left arm. We're going to touch that elbow, that shoulder, and then the back of the hand down on the mat, threading that needle through. Finding that gentle twist, opening through those shoulder blades. And then releasing that right hand, taking that left hand, palm up, dropping that elbow, that shoulder, and then the back of that left hand. And then releasing that left hand back. We're going to draw the biceps into the ears. One more quick tug. And then roll back up onto those hands and those knees. Now stacking the knees under the hips. The hands come back under those shoulders. We're going to inhale, that tailbone shoots up to the sky, navel drops to the mat, rolling that head up into cow. Exhale, rolling into cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. One more inhale into that cow pose. One more exhale into cat. And then coming to that neutral spine, we're going to extend that left leg back out long. All the energy goes out that left toe. Right fingertip then follows, coming into bird dog. Finding that stretch through the whole body here. Really engaging that abdominal wall, using that core to stabilize us. Pushing equal weight into that right knee and that left hand. Just extending our body out long. And then releasing that hand and releasing that knee back in. That right leg goes out with a pointed toe. That left hand then follows. Same thing, really extending long, lengthening that body. All the energy out of the fingertips and toes. Stretching the spine here, tightening that abdominal wall. And then releasing that hand, releasing that knee. We're going to curl those toes. We're going to find that second downward facing dog here. And we're going to start that pedal. And then we're going to walk, bringing those feet all the way up to those hands. Maybe you take a hop here. Inhale, we slowly rise up, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. Exhale, we roll those shoulders back. We come into that straight stance here, coming into that mountain pose. Back to where we started. Those ankles are stacked under those hips. Those hips are stacked under those shoulders. We're going to inhale those hands up. Exhale, forward fold, facing each other this time. Taking those hands down to those feet. We're going to go ahead and start walking those feet out much wider than those hips. We want to get those palms down to the mat here. So those feet are much wider than the hips. We want to get the palms down because they are going to stabilize us here. We're going to walk those hands over to that right foot. You can even reach for those toes, leaving the hands on the mat. Stay within your range of motion. Never take those poses too far. Leave that ego aside. Walking those hands all the way to the left. Stretching through that left leg. And then bringing those hands back to the center. We're going to find that twist like we did before. So left hand comes to the center of the mat. Right hand comes up towards the sky. Really engaging that core here, wringing out that spine. Stretching through the front of the shoulders and the chest. That right hand comes down, changing places with that left. That left fingertip goes up towards the sky. Bringing that left hand down. We're going to walk those hands over to that right foot again. And then walk those hands over to that left foot. Bring those hands back center. Left hand plants in the center of the mat. Right arm twists up. Finding that gentle twist here. Right hand changes places with that left hand. That left hand then shoots up towards the sky. We bring that left hand down, really stretching through those legs here. And then we're going to angle those toes out slightly as we come into that deep squat. We're going to slowly lift up, taking those hands to those knees. So we're in that deep squat in those goddess legs here. We're going to drop that left shoulder forward, finding that twist. So as we drop that left shoulder forward, we're pushing out slightly on those knees, opening through those hips. And then dropping that right shoulder forward, finding that twist. Left shoulder comes forward. And then right shoulder comes forward. One more time, we bring that left shoulder forward. And then one final time on that right side. Bringing both those shoulders back forward, we slowly rise up, straightening those legs. And then we're going to heel toe those feet back together. Bringing those ankles back centered under those hips. We're going to inhale those arms up. Exhale, forward fold, taking the hands down, stretching through the hamstrings. Inhale, halfway, coming to that flat back. Exhale, melt forward. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, melt forward, really reaching long. And then inhale, we slowly rise up, stacking those vertebrae, and then we're going to come back to the tops of our mats. So coming back to the tops of the mats here, inhale, arms go up. Exhale, we're going to forward fold again, taking those hands all the way down to the mat. We're going to step, or you can even hop those feet back into downward facing dog. Finding that good stretch, bringing that right foot forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, dragonfly. Left hand to right foot, right hand shoots up. Now we're going to take that right hand, bringing it down to the inner sole of that right foot. We're going to slightly angle that left toe out, and we're going to find triangle here. So that left heel is towards the back corner of the mat. Finding that triangle pose. Stretching really deeply into that right leg here. Bringing that right hand down, swapping that left foot to face the same direction as the right, and we're going to find that downward facing dog. Bringing that left foot forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, right hand to left foot. Left hand goes up towards the ceiling. And then bringing that left hand down to the left foot. We're going to change that right footing. Right heel goes to the back corner of the mat, straightening those legs, finding that triangle. Reaching that right hand up towards the sky. And then bringing that right hand down, stepping back into plank, dropping those knees, opening them wide, finding that child's pose. So dropping that head down to the mat, walking those hands out long, that seat sets back onto those heels. Taking just a few breaths here, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And then walking those hands back up to those knees. We're going to bring those knees together, stacking those knees directly under the hips, coming back up onto those high knees here. We're going to inhale those hands up, stretching up high towards the sky. Opening through the chest, slightly leaning backwards. And then we're going to release those hands, interlacing them behind the tailbone, open through the chest. Really drawing those shoulder blades together in the back. And then releasing those hands forward, we're going to come back into that puppy pose. So walking those hands out long, dropping that chest down to the mat, the tailbone shoots up towards the sky. So really stretching through the front of that chest here, really stretching through the front of those shoulders. And then walking those hands back under the shoulders, coming back up onto those high knees, and then we're going to come into that seated position. So coming into that seated position now, crossing those legs, lifting up those glute muscles, making sure we're really grounded through those seat bones. We're going to take that right hand, placing it behind the tailbone, left hand to right knee, finding a gentle twist here, taking it deeper by looking over that right shoulder. And then switching it out, right hand to left knee, left hand behind the tailbone, gazing over that left shoulder. One more time, twisting to that right, so left hand to right knee, right hand behind the tailbone. That hand sets behind that tailbone, it keeps us from slouching back, it keeps that posture upright. And then switching it out, right hand to left knee, left hand behind the spine. Always being very gentle with twists. We're here to love on that back. Bringing those hands back forward. We're going to inhale, rising that chest up, dropping those shoulder blades back, looking up into that seated cow. Exhale, drawing that navel in, dropping that chest and head into cat. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, dropping back. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, dropping back. One more inhale, we lift up. One more exhale, we drop back. And then coming to that neutral spine once again, we're going to take that right hand down to the mat as that left arm sweeps up and over. And then bringing that left hand down to the mat as that right arm sweeps up and over. Bringing that right arm down, left arm sweeps. Left arm down as right arm sweeps. And then bringing that right arm back down. Now we're going to extend that left leg out in front of us. Taking that right foot, draping it over at that knee. So not placing it on that knee or putting too much pressure on the side. just letting that foot rest on the knee here. We're going to take that left hand, we're going to take it over to that right knee. That right hand is going to go behind the spine. That posture is straight here. You can even take that left elbow to that knee to help guide you into this twist, but just finding that gentle twist here. If that knee doesn't quite come to that elbow, you can just place that hand there, staying within your own range of motion here. Like I said before, really just leaving that ego aside during this practice. So just loving on our bodies a little this morning. And then on that next exhale, we're going to release that twist back forward, and we're just going to swap out those legs. So that right leg goes forward, that left leg bends at the knee, that right hand comes to that knee, that left hand goes behind the back. You can use that elbow there to help push you a little bit deeper into that twist. We never want to force a twist. Okay, always able to gaze over that shoulder to take it a little bit deeper. And then releasing it back forward. Now we're going to come into butterfly. So bringing the soles of the feet together, drawing those heels in, reaching that navel down towards the heels here. You can even take those elbows to the knees if you want to open up those legs a little bit more, but reaching down to those toes, really just opening up through those hip flexors here. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper hip flexor stretch after this. So we're just warming up those hip flexors, being very gentle with those knees. Maybe you even find some flutters here, if that serves your body, just moving those legs. Movement is always to be found in yoga. Just really working out those legs. Now rolling it back up to that straight spine, we're going to come into that deer pose. So we're going to bring that left leg in front of us. Being very careful here, making sure that hip is in alignment with that knee. That knee is then in alignment with that ankle. And then taking that right leg, pressing it back behind us. Same thing, that hip is in alignment with that knee. That knee is in alignment with those ankles. Very important here to get that good posture before we find that twist. So being very gentle with that right hip flexor here, finding that good alignment with the legs, then taking that right hand over to that left knee. That left hand is going to go behind the tailbone as much as possible, and we're just going to twist away from that right leg here. So what you're going to notice is that right hip begins to roll forward, and you find that stretch into that right hip flexor here. So that's really all we're doing with this twist here, is centering those shoulders up to the left, rolling those hips forward, and stretching through that right hip flexor here. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can always just sit in this pose to try to stretch that hip flexor, or you can just stay in that butterfly. Really doing what serves our body here, what helps us find that deeper stretch. We always want to find that stretch of the muscles and never a strain. So if you notice yourself holding your breath or holding that pressure in the muscle, then just go ahead and release that pose. That means it's not serving you at this time. We're going to exhale as we release back forward, and we're just going to swap out those legs. So that right leg comes forward, that left leg goes to the side. Taking a check of that alignment and making sure that hip, knee, and ankle are all in alignment here. And then left hand to right knee, pressing away from that right leg. Just rolling that left hip forward here. You'll feel this even work up into that hip bone in that lower ab. But being very gentle with this pose. Finding that good stretch here. Taking a few deep breaths. And then releasing it on that exhale. Now bringing those legs back in front of us, we're going to place the soles of the feet on the mat. We're going to take those hands, we're going to kind of rock back onto those palms just a little bit. So those hips are almost tucked down under, and we're sitting on that tailbone here. We're going to do some windshield wipers. We're going to drop those knees to the right, pressing that left hip up. And then rolling those knees all the way to the left, pressing the right hip up. And just take a few windshield wipers here, loosening up those hips, loosening up that lower back. Now those legs don't have to come all the way to the mat. You can even just take some shallow little dips here, or you can allow those legs to roll all the way over. We're just finding some movement here. There's freedom in this movement, so you do whatever suits your body. And then bringing those legs back into that crisscross position, setting deep on those glute muscles, lifting up those glutes, getting really grounded once again. Inhale, rolling those shoulders up. Exhale, dropping them back. We're going to inhale those shoulders up. Exhale, dropping them back, getting that good straight spine here. We're going to drop that chin down to the chest. Rolling that chin over to that right shoulder. And then over to that left shoulder. To the right shoulder. And then to the left shoulder. Take that nose all the way around, one big circle. And then changing that direction, loosen up that jaw, remove the tongue from the roof of the mouth, allow yourself to just relax. And then we're going to come into that reclining position. So melting onto the back here, resting that head on the mat. We're going to keep those knees bent in. We're going to touch those soles of the feet to the mat. We're going to press through those heels, lifting into that bridge, and we're going to interlace those fingers behind the tailbone, gently walking those shoulder blades together. So we're opening up that chest, walking those shoulder blades together. Those hands are clasped underneath that tailbone. And we just lift those hips high. And then on that next exhale, we're going to lower those hips slowly down, untying those hands and coming to that flat back. Now bringing those knees into the chest here, tightly curling those knees in. We're going to extend that right leg long with a pointed toe, drawing that left leg in. And then bringing that right leg in, swapping out those hands, those left legs go out, that left leg goes out long. And then bringing those knees in. We're going to take left hand to left knee, right hand to right knee, and we're just going to start making some tiny little circles. Those knees are zipped together. Those legs are zipped together all the way, ankles to inner thighs. Those legs are moving as one. We're stabilizing that core. We're massaging those hips. Finding that gentle movement here. And then changing that direction, rolling in the opposite way. Just massaging that lower back. Now finding that stillness with the legs, we're going to take right hand to right foot, left hand to left foot. We're going to press those heels high up towards the sky, drawing those toes back to the mat, finding that happy baby. Maybe you find a little bit of a rock or a sway here. If you want to take this deeper, you can actually wrap those hands around the calves, using those elbows on those hamstrings to draw those legs back down. Finding a little movement here, whatever that looks like for you. Whatever serves your body here. Taking just a few breaths. We're working down to that Shavasana time, down to that time of rest. And then we're going to release the soles of the feet down to the mat. We're going to take that right ankle across that left ankle across that right thigh. We're going to drop those legs over to the right side. So we're lifting that left hip up off the mat. The shoulders stay firmly planted. We're just twisting from that navel down, releasing that lower spine here. Being very gentle with the body. We're just working our way down, slowing down that heart rate, slowing down that breath. And then lifting those legs back up. We're going to uncross that left leg, taking that right ankle across that left thigh. We're going to drop those legs over to the left here, just working from that navel down, lifting that right hip. Taking just a few breaths. And then lifting those legs back up, we're going to find that reclining butterfly. So bringing the soles of the feet together, those knees open wide, the spinal pose, the spinal stretch as we open through those hip flexors, open through those inner thighs. You can always take those hands back behind those legs if you need to, just to relieve a little pressure. You can take a pillow, stacking it behind each knee if that serves you. We're just going to take a few deep breaths in this butterfly pose before we extend those legs long and get into that time of rest. Just breathing deep here. Just bringing yourself in, turning that gaze in. When we say turn that gaze in or bring yourself into your body, what that really means is you're just turning away that world. You're just turning away that outside noise, turning away any busyness, any to-do list. You're just really bringing yourself into this current moment. We're going to take that deep inhale. And then on that exhale, you can stretch those legs out long. Find just a few minutes here to get comfortable, really wiggle around, find what serves your body during this rest time. And we're really just going to turn inward here. And like I said, all that means is just bringing yourself into this current moment, into this time. We're not worried about anything that's going on later today or tomorrow or anything that happened at the beginning of the day or yesterday. Just really focusing in on this time. We've turned away the phone, the TV, and we're just really bringing ourselves into ourselves. We don't sit with ourselves enough. We use our time being distracted. We really embrace those distractions, I feel like, more here at this time, looking to that phone or that TV, trying to find some way to keep ourselves busy, but we're just going to take this moment just to sit with ourselves, to close those eyes, to turn that gaze inward. Really, during this time, this is our listening time. Our prayer is our conversation, and then our meditation is just downloading. It's listening. It's opening our hearts, our eyes, and our ears. Really just listening. We're just going to focus on that breath, that inhale and that exhale. Allowing it to bring us deeper into this space, deeper into this moment. That breath begins to move over us. We notice that rhythm. The rhythm of the inhale and the exhale. The rhythm of the rise and the fall of the chest. And we just listen. I really challenge you today to just listen. Sometimes we ask for so much, and we forget to listen. Sometimes God speaks in those big moments and those big life changes, but sometimes He comes as that still small voice, speaking to us gently with the wind. So just allow yourself to relax. Allow your body to relax, your mind to find that peaceful place, your spirit to come into that peaceful place. And just slow down. Turn away those distractions. Hold space for yourself as I hold space for you. I'm holding that space for you even through this computer screen, this phone screen, the TV screen. I hold that space for you. We are all connected during this time, during this practice, this community as we gather together today, moving our body, using our breath in such a beautiful way. And we just listen. We rest in this peaceful moment. And we just listen. We notice that breath become deeper and deeper. Maybe you've already heard a word, some confirmation. You've got some peace about something. Maybe you just simply feel that joy and that rest. You feel refreshed. I feel so refreshed after this peaceful practice today. This gentle flow, just this time of listening. Listening to our bodies, listening to our breath, listening to what's being said to us. Just hold tight to this moment for just a few more breaths. And then on that next exhale, we're going to roll onto whichever side you choose. Bringing those knees in, resting on that side. We're going to take those hands, either stretching them out long, or just curling them under the head, drawing the knees in. We feel safe and comforted here. We are not losing that gaze. Just continuing to focus in on this time. Really just opening our hearts and opening our ears. And then taking that hand on that next exhale, pressing up and away. You are more than welcome to stay in this time of rest, to stay in this Shavasana time if that serves you in this moment. But we're going to go ahead and close out this class. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for holding this space with me, holding this space with yourself, for really tuning in, turning that world away, turning those distractions away, opening those ears and opening that heart, and just listening to what's needed to be said. Maybe you got a word during this time, a verse, a phrase. Maybe you got some confirmation, some reassurance. I pray that you did. I pray that you found that peace and that you just tuned in and you got that refreshment that you needed during this time. We're going to find that seated position one more time as we close out this class. We're going to inhale those hands up, bringing those thumbs down into the chest. Those hands are into prayer, really pressing those thumbs deeply into the chest, dropping that chin down, focusing on that breath for one more moment. We're going to find that audible breath here, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. One more inhale. Ladies, thank you for joining me today. I pray that you embrace that peace. I pray that you embrace this practice, that time of rest, that you feel refreshed and ready for whatever lies ahead for you today. I pray that you continue to push away those distractions. You find that time and that moment for yourselves. You sow into yourselves and just love on yourself just for a moment today. Thank you for joining me. I pray that you are so blessed as you walk through the remainder of today. Namaste.